was mowing my lawn,
and I was mowing it too.
yeah, we were both mowing the lawn.
It was a ride on for two.
If you like Woody and Cola, and cricket's your game, you gotta take that turf seriously
And perfect your terrain.
if you like Woody and Cola.
Ta-da! And welcome to Joseph's Model Railway and Toy Room, which of course are over there. But here we are, outside in the wonderful outdoors with a balmy 33 degrees Celsius and about 85% humidity. And for those of you like me that enjoy knowing about how the weather works and the wet bulb temperature and knows what that is with the humidity here in Queensland, Australia, for those of my US followers, just think of Miami, nice and tropical. Anyway, what are we doing out here today? Well, being from Australia, and just like my friends in the UK, I like a little bit of cricket. And here in Australia, we take something very serious, and that is what we call backyard cricket. When we're able to come together with family and friends and grab a bat and a ball and knock it around the yard and have a little bit of fun. Some of us take it a little bit too serious, but all in all, it's in good jest. For those of you that don't know much about the whole concept of backyard cricket, I invite you to go and look it up. There's a lot of things you should know about it, and there are a lot of common rules about it as well. These include such legendary rules as 6 and out. So if you knock the ball over the fence, you will get 6 runs, and you'll also be out and it's someone else's turn to bat. So you've got to be a bit strategic. They're always going to be limited by the amount of space that you have and or confines, and you'll come up with your own rules, including things like automatic wicky. For those that don't know what that is, for those of us that can't find a set of stumps, we'll usually get our trash cans or our wheelie bin, and we'll put it there and call it the stumps. If the ball hits it, you're out. However, in the situation that you might well nick the ball with the edge of your bat and it touches anywhere on the bin, it's called the automatic wicky, or sometimes if there's a wall behind it, you'll have something that denotes it. For me and my family, we have some additional rules that are a bit of fun that sound too easy but are more complicated as you get started, and they include things like, of course, there's the old-fashioned one hand, one bounce. In other words, if the ball is hit and you can catch it, the person is out. However, in backyard cricket, if it bounces once and you're able to catch it with one hand, that is out too. And of course, we use these rules because with an area like this, I don't have the best of 11 or 12 players on the field all at once. There's generally only 3 or 4. So we need some rules that can make it a little easier because we can't be everywhere at once. A tremendous rule that me and my family introduced, because there's not many of us when we play, is a wonderful rule that I like to call 2 hands, 2 bounce. And while it sounds too easy, it isn't, because half the time when someone's hit a magnificent shot and it's bounced once and twice, by the time you thought about using 2 hands to get it, it's too late. So lots of little things that we just have fun with. This particular cricket pitch, and by a pitch I just mean my backyard lawn, which of course gets a good cut with the trusty lawnmower, and of course I do have the legendary Australian Victor right here, top Aussie invention. And over the past 5 years since we've built, you can see I've managed to get it smoothed out. Of course we need to keep it in a particular shape due to drainage, but most importantly, as you can see, after a good cut, it's not looking too bad. Of course, toward where the house is, or the members stand, as I like to call it, the grass is extra nice and plush and very finely cut up there, and we'll probably be hitting with in the direction that you would be bowling in this direction, and of course the stumps are going to be somewhere about where that trampoline is, thereabouts. This is all in preparation for Christmas 2023. And as mentioned, we hope to see some trains around the layout, which of course will be the main attraction. But this is a nice little distraction. We've just had our first rough cut, I like to call it now, after it's been absolutely bone dry, and I haven't cut the lawn since August. We had some tremendous rain, everything greened up, and I've given it what I call a rough cut. In which case, what will happen in the next 2 weeks, we may come back and give it an additional 1 and 2 cuts that we're just going to give it that really nice clean edge to it. So that's our introduction aside. This video is talking about one of the most fascinating things that was brought to my attention certainly back in the 80s, albeit the 90s, and nowadays it's all computerized. But I am of course talking about the third umpire, the video cameras that are located all across the grounds that are able to see if the person was out or not. And so what they can do is review it and see if it did touch, if it was caught, did someone hit the ground, whatever the situation is. If it's safe, a series of green lights would flash. If they're out, a red light. And if we just have a look here, we're going to show two very important grounds. The Melbourne Cricket Ground, or MCG as it's known here in Australia, and here are their lights. You will see this is their arrangement, which is just a series of par 38 floodlights in a drag strip Christmas tree arrangement. I thought we could do a bit better, but let me just first of all break out what the deal is with the white light, since there's a reason why we see it in the picture, but there's a reason you'll never ever see it lit up on the TV. As far as my understanding works on this, when we play, and sometimes there's just 2 or 3 of us, sometimes something happens, and if I was to bowl and say, I think it was out, and my brother were to take the shot and said, no, I didn't hear that, I disagree. If there's any disagreement between it, and we are gentlemen of course, in that case we will call out what is known as a white light. If it is out and genuinely out, or the bowler is quite passionate about what's just happened and saying it's out, and you go, look, I didn't see it, but if you're saying it's out, I believe you. But sometimes there are things where multiple parties can be in slight disagreement. We're not too sure. So we've always referred to it as a white light. In other words, it is just quite simply, we're going to replay that. Whatever just happened, it is. No one got any runs and no one's out. Let's just redo it. We don't have all the cameras to check it out. So for us to replay it, we're just going to have to replay the shot. And that's as I understand this light. And for games that do not have the cameras in action, I would imagine that there may be a decision. The umpire talks to someone over in the grandstand. What do you think? What do you think? Light the white light. We'll replay that shot, because we don't know. That's as we've always understand it, and that's what we're going to do. So we are going to need to see a series of 3 lights: red, green, and white. So join me in this video now, and let's see what we can come up with. For those of you that are wondering about the tremendous turf that you see, well, I'm sorry to disappoint, it isn't some fine turf at all. It's what I'd like to call a grass salad, if you like. We have a bit of Sir Walter grass mixed in with a bit of Bermuda cooch, and of course, being where we are, unfortunately, we've managed to acquire a bit of that wonderful stuff called nutgrass or mullumbimby. It's a horrible thing. I've done a lot of treatments on it, and it is a lot better. However, there's always going to be room for improvement. But when you've had that first cup, we've got a few days of just perfect pitch playing.
So I picked up some beacons off a popular trading site for about $5 a beacon, the mechanical type. And of course the globes that came with them were the old school torch globes, 5 watts. They were just absolutely no good. Where blue looks white, everything looks white. I found suitable LED replacements that offer the exact hue of light I needed. Strong light output, but without it looking a bit ordinary. Of course, now we just mount it easily into a custom frame I had knocked up 90 degrees, a few holes and a bit of powder coating. And we've got a bit of a solution here to mount the hardware. Looks pretty good at this point. And of course just picked up a Apple certified Siri compatible one for this. I didn't want to have to go through additional shortcuts with a Google device to set up, so paid the premium for an actual Apple HomeKit certified series of plugs. Then we're just going to snip the cables. We're just going to quickly solder, cut off a couple of extension leads with piggybacks, mount them into some grommets in a nice jiffy box. Just strap a coloured cable tie at the end of the lead just for quick identification, so I know what lead each one is doing. Blustery day here, but we have had excellent rainfall, and if we peep our eyes out the door, oh yes, that's looking ready to play in the next week. So here we are coming to the conclusion. I'm going to shoot it on my on my old phone because I need the other one to go through it. So let's test this out. Hey Siri, red light. Hey Siri, off. Hey Siri, green light. Hey Siri, off. Hey Siri, white light. Hey Siri, off. As mentioned, I do have blue globes. We're just using white because when we put this up and play the game, we're going to unhook the blue filters off and just leave the mechanism exposed. This is designed to hang upside down, so this section is facing down. Hey Siri, game over. Hey Siri, off. And that's the plan of attack. Again, when I've got a permanent place, we'll sort this out a bit better. I'd like to actually do this with a bit of a connector, but we're just going to throw it in this little jiffy box at the moment to get it out of the way. And again, I left the tails on it because I didn't know how we were going to be locating it. This way you can just take it anywhere you need to go, put an extension lead out and plug it in to a standard socket. The other thing to note here is I did deliberately use piggyback leads in case you need a plug to additional lighting or something else that needs to trigger off. But that is a great result. And we'll just strap it up to the patio at the moment. Again, it'll have a permanent home and we'll clean that wiring up a little better. But it looks like we're getting set as dusk falls to see what we can come up with.
Hey Siri, that was safe. Green light. Hey Siri, off. How's that? That's out. Hey Siri, red light. Ooh, that's too close to tell. I'm not too sure. No, look, I'm not too sure. Let's call a white light. Hey Siri, white light. Can't argue with the results. Hey Siri, off. Hey Siri, game over. Well, girls and boys, ladies and gentlemen, that will now conclude yet another video as I've got to get my pads on and get ready to hit that cricket pitch. Thank you so much as always for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Stay safe. Toodles. Hey Siri, green light.